Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting video. And within the past few weeks or so, we've been having a lot of different leaks from everything from malicious intent all the way over to just people getting the game early and dropping it. Though obviously with the malicious intent, we all know about that Pokemon Terra leak stuff that managed to drop out a whole bunch of things in terms of like beta sprites and stuff, future projects in terms of like anime, future games and stuff, even things related around the Switch 2 hardware and stuff like that. So we had leaks such like that was malicious due to phishing and stuff. Then we had some leaks and stuff in terms of users and stuff that weren't necessarily contractually binded by like an NDA as such when I'm talking about that Nintendo Switch online playtest, because as of now that thing is on and going. It's an ongoing process right now, and before we had got like a few minutes beyond some of this intro information that would have got out to those people that signed up for it, they started spilling the beans out there on the internet though. And then lately, and this is the thing that really kind of caused me to make this video today, the fact that almost 2.5 weeks before Mario & Luigi Brothership has even launched, the game is already out there where people are able to go through and download the ROM and stuff like that though, and people are able to go through this game as of this moment right now though. So just seeing that and the combination of all this other stuff and the fact that we're just accustomed to so many different things leaking from Nintendo in general, just want to have a casual conversation, kind of get my overall 2 cents about this thing and some things that Nintendo kind of really needs to do in order to kind of tighten up their ship a little bit though, because there's only so much that the Plumber Mario can do, at least for Nintendo in general. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Nintendo. We gotta have a heart-to-heart over here. Like, this ain't gonna be structured or nothing. I don't have no notes. I'm just gonna go off the cuff on this video right here, because I had some stuff to kind of say and address, at least in this one video here, because I don't understand why every single gosh dang time we get close to a new upcoming release for any first-party Nintendo game, it always manages to leak, usually about a week, and usually at most roughly around 2 weeks in advance before the street date has even managed to come. I don't understand why in the world that this keeps happening time and time again. Obviously, the most recent example we have with this is Mario & Luigi Partners in Time. Mario & Luigi Brothership right here. Like, that game managed to get out there on the streets. We figured out that, hey, the people that are behind making the Octopath Traveler games and stuff like that, we know that they were co-developers alongside Nintendo, or the ones that actually going through and making this game right here. We know that the engine that was worked on, such as Unreal Engine and such. So it's like we had some of those informations already leak out because people managed to get their hands up on this thing though. And I'm like, I don't understand why this is so much more of a Nintendo issue, more so than, you rarely ever hear about this stuff happening with PlayStation or with Xbox respectively though. Like, they always manage to, not happen to have their stuff leaked out at least a couple weeks out in advance and stuff, in comparison to Nintendo. Now, there might be a couple of reasons why this might necessarily be the case. One of them might possibly be because of the fact that, with both of those two consoles, they're a lot beefier. I mean, the homebrew side, or if you're trying to hack up into the system or try to rip ROMs and try to emulate them and all that stuff, that whole entire process, it's not nearly as defined, especially for like a PS5 and Xbox Series game. It's not nearly as defined and easy to do in comparison to a Nintendo Switch. Because remind y'all, if you go back to whenever the first model of the Nintendo Switch has dropped, so not even the red box Switch, the original one, literally you can almost hack and get into that system by like sticking like a paper clip or something dumb like that up in there though, and that allowed you to break past all of the security measures that were in place. The very little that it is, there might have been like a piece of scotch tape or something up in there though, but you were able to get past all those security issues and get up into the system. Gosh, I can't even. It wasn't even like maybe a month or 2 or 3 at most. It was really early on in Nintendo Switch's life. And I think Nintendo was over there scrambling, and then we came out with the revision of it with the Nintendo Switch, the red box one. So that's not like their traditional white box one anymore. And then they moved over to the red box and improved the security measures just a little bit though. But I feel like for the most part, the damage is done. Like those switches are out there. I still have that first model. As long as you're like one of those early adopters, one of those people that managed to pick up that Switch, at least within the first year that it was out on the market, you have one of those ones that are a little bit more easy and a little bit more hackable to get up in it though. So yeah, I think ever since that has happened, it's been a kind of easy process for those games to kind of get leaked out online. And then if you think about in terms of like, well, how the people are playing it, it's usually through a couple of different emulators. And you have over here, Yuzu was one, Ryujinx was the other. And as of the moment of this recording, you know, Nintendo has gone after both those respective companies and both had taken them down though. And I feel like it was a little bit too late though, but that shouldn't have nearly been an issue, because if had they done all their proper preparation in advance, hey, that would not have even been an issue to begin with though. And then also I think another good reason why these games also like to leak out early and stuff like that, it could be also the different retailers. If you go back and look at some of the retailers that we normally get our games from, a few come to mind. Best Buy, that's usually my go-to. You have Target, you have Amazon, you have Walmart and stuff, and then obviously you have GameStop. And out of everybody on that list, there's a couple of different retailers that aren't necessarily getting first-party games nowadays anymore. And I'm talking about Amazon, and I'm also talking about Walmart. For some odd reason, any brand new first party game moving from this point forward, and I think it was around the time that Princess Peach Showtime came out to market, and that was back in like March of 2024, they have not been putting out any brand new first party games. Anything prior to that, they're still selling on their storefronts though, but anything newer than that, nah, they hadn't been doing it. And I'm wondering, I was like, well, why in the world would Nintendo not sell to somebody, especially as big as Amazon? We know how big of a retailer they are. And I'm starting to wonder, are they starting trying to figure out some of the dots of like who's actually physically leaking these games though? Because I always see at least a week or two in advance, someone's taking a picture of something, or sometimes it's like a whole case or a box or something like that, and they're showcasing off like all the copies and stuff they managed to get of this game, and it's breaking the street date weeks early. And maybe it's just because the fact that it's a Nintendo game, like maybe more people are just more excited about Nintendo games versus Xbox games, which I feel like, you know, for the most part, that's probably true. PlayStation, it's a little bit so-so-y, but I mean, even when you look at some of the PlayStation games nowadays though, like obviously you have your big first party games like your Spider-Man 2s and stuff like that, or your Ghost series, or your Horizons, or your like God of Wars and stuff. You have those, but those are very far and spread out. It's not nearly as consistent like Nintendo, because when you look at Nintendo's release schedule, even for this year, we had a game almost launching every single month this year, except for like maybe 3 of the months this year though. So I don't know, maybe these people get a little bit more excited, a little more jazzed up, especially when you look back at like Nintendo Directs and stuff like that. A lot more people get excited for that. And then you have some for State of Plays, and then that most recent Xbox partner show. It's like, dang, some people just didn't even know that thing even existed though. So I don't know, maybe there's just a lot more drumming up business and stuff, and a lot of the hype potential in terms of Nintendo games in general. So that's why people are more inclined to leak it. And then you couple that along with the security measures that were in place that weren't really enforced that strongly. And then you have this leak culture that is really hard to stop time and time again, though. So I think it's the combination of those two things. And then also like what I talked about with the retailers and stuff. And I feel like maybe that's the reason why we don't see new games coming out from Amazon or Walmart, though, respectively. So it's like you start adding all these different things and you start running this tallying and lists and stuff. And then it's like, okay, and you know, the Switch isn't like a necessarily like an impressive console in terms of like a tech standpoint. Like, look, at this point, the system's already 7 years, almost going on 8 years old, and we still don't know anything really happening along with the Nintendo Switch 2 as of this moment, though. So yeah, because it's also underpowered, it makes it a lot easier to do. And then, oh good gracious, the Pokemon games. I think long before we had any general Nintendo games leaking, like a Mario game or whatever, though, Pokemon games always tend to leak early, time and time again. And maybe that was also due to the fact that, you know, Nintendo's also known for the handheld systems. And their handheld systems, they always like to get leaked. But if you look back at their console stuff like the Wii U, I mean, yes, not a lot of people were playing the Wii U or even the Wii and stuff. It took a lot longer for stuff like that to manage to, get out in like a playable ROM or potentially leak, but it wasn't like right around launch day or nothing like that. It's always been kind of a bit more of an issue with a handheld system. Switch being a hybrid system, I mean, maybe some of that is plaguing them on though, but I don't know. Nintendo, I feel like your heart is in the right spot in terms of you trying to go through and like take down different ROM sites and stuff like that. And, obviously trying to take down like the emulators and stuff. Like they're trying to fix a lot of these issues before the Switch 2 comes to market. Cause, if anything, looking at all of this information right here, I'm awfully sure that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with the Nintendo Switch. So I feel like they're trying to go clean house and try to eliminate a lot of these problems right now, because if they're using the same file formatting as the ROMs that the Nintendo Switch games are on, and if it's backwards compatible, it still works on the current Nintendo Switch 2, this could be a plaguing issue even running into their brand new generation. So maybe that's some of the reasons why you've been seeing them scrambling and you've been seeing a lot of these different takedowns and stuff from Nintendo in general though. So I think when you start looking at everything, that just kind of gives a clear indicator where Nintendo's at least within their headspace in terms of how they treat emulations, ROMs, and why the heck these games leak so early though. So I mean, Nintendo, instead of you always, I mean, it might take a little bit of this, going after some of those ROM sites and stuff like that and the emulators and stuff, you also got to clean house and figure out, all right, from the moment that y'all are developing the game to the point of production with the cartridges and stuff, and then sending those out to the retailers, you got to find those moles and them rats everywhere. Like dig them suckers up and figure out where this issue is though. And then also hey, with that Switch 2, when it comes out, you better have some gosh dang security on this thing though. I would hate to see a lot of brand new Switch 2 games leaking so early out. Even within the first launch year. Like imagine if a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Imagine if a Mario Kart 10 were able to get leaked out online before that retail release happens to drop. Or imagine if the next new 3D Mario game that comes after Odyssey, imagine that leaked a week or two early. You don't want that stuff to happen within the first couple of weeks, especially when that first launch year for the shiny new system. You just can't afford it, Nintendo. You can't. So I don't know what the heck is going on in your headquarters or your distribution, your supply chains, the reason why your security is like that, the fact that you're able to get hacked and phish, at least that on the Pokemon company side with that Pokemon Terra leak and stuff like that, and then having crazy expectations when there's no way you can do an NDA with 10,000 people up in there and expect them not to actually spill the beans out there. At least be proactive. If you're not proactive, you're gonna be reactive and stuff. So I feel like that mindset needs to change. Alrighty, I think I rambled long and hard enough about why the heck does Nintendo games in general leak. Part of it is business, part of it is probably the execution though, but y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all do you think about this in terms of like all these different leaks and stuff that usually tend to happen, just beyond rumors and stuff, actual hardcore leaks of actual games and stuff like that for Nintendo in general. Y'all just gotta let me know in the comments. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of today's video though. So if you really like this, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until we're at video I make next, see y'all.